Hello everybody, my name is X-Factor, and this is the craziest round of Overwatch I've ever been a part of, and one of the major reasons why I'm addicted to this game, because rounds like this are an absolute blast. And today we're going to be dropping a ton of tips and tricks when it comes to playing Overwatch, including this game mode, and what you should look for, the do's and the don'ts of Control Point. And in order to beat the game mode, I'm going to give you all the things you need to know to be able to do this, because we actually string this round out forever and make a massive comeback. The first thing that you need to understand is to contest the point, which I messed up there. As long as you have one body on from your team, they cannot cap the flag, they cannot finish capping the flag, they can't take the flag from you, and you can create an overtime situation if the score is 99 to something else. You can string out overtime for a long time, and that's exactly what's going to happen in the next round. So let's talk about Zarya real quick. You saw that red shield, you saw a friendly blue shield. When you see the red shield on an enemy Zarya as Reinhardt is trying to get across the map, now he's getting into the spawn room, do not shoot the red shield. She could place one on herself for 2 seconds. She could place one on a teammate for 2 seconds. Stop shooting. If that Zarya is alive, just stop. The shield lasts 2 seconds. Why is that important? Well, number one, it's 200 damage that you can eat. As I knock off their healer, and I die. Mistake made, but that's a good trade because their healer's down. So she's got a 200-point shield. It adds 50% to her damage. Now she's going to start melting you, but she can place 2 shields. She can place one on a teammate. Yep, you knocked that one off. That's another 200 damage that you just did nothing, more than likely. It's a full direct rocket. That's a ton of damage from other classes. Now she's at 100%. And now it's easy for her to keep 100% damage buff or high 70s, 80s, and 90s. Because she can throw shields out every 5 to 7 seconds. Genji pops his out, simply kill him. Unless he's in reflect mode, simply kill him. That's one of the toughest ults to deal with, especially when you're playing in such a close quarters like this. Now back to Zarya. Now when you see a shield on yourself, you can't get hooked, you can't get McCree stunned, and again, you've got a free 200 shield. Go take some damage. Go do a quick peek, especially if you're on comms, as I'm trying to avoid Mei's AoE, which obviously freezes our team, which would have ruined me because, as you saw, I have no health. But it also buffs your Zarya. So if you see that shield, it lasts 2 seconds. Make a quick peek. Is there a Reaper in front of you? It's going to be eaten off extremely quickly. You're buffing your Zarya, and you're wasting basically their damage, maybe forcing them into a reload. And remember, stay on the flag. They can have 2, 3, or 4 people on the flag. As long as we've got one alive, they can't cap that flag. Meanwhile, our percentage to the victory keeps going up until it hits 100. Now let's talk about compositions. Don't be afraid to hit the scoreboard button as I kind of blow a cue here. Figure out who their healer is and target them appropriately. Are you shooting a tank? Are you shooting one of the DPS? Wrong answer. Because the last thing you want to do is Mercy to pop her ult if you kill 3 or 4 of them on the flag. Now everybody's up. More than likely your ults are down. Lucio pops his ultimate. Everybody's got super health. Bad things happen when you leave healers alive. No matter what your target is, simply switch. Put pressure on their healer. Get them to back out. Hopefully, simply get them killed. And protect your healer. Can't say it enough. You can't do DPS if you're dead. So, know when to back out, especially when they're going to take the flag and force. Don't be afraid to group up, especially if you can't contest. Remember, the only reason why you want to trickle in is to contest, to keep them from capping, force overtime, or keep overtime going. That's the only time you should trickle in. And don't be afraid to sit back, especially if you've got a comfortable lead. Let them get bored. Let them trickle out of the capture point, and that's one of the largest mistakes people make. They get the cap point, they think they're safe for a couple seconds, and they decide to push out. Well, then they get picked, and then another teammate gets picked, and then it might be a 5-on-3 or a 4-on-3. The last thing you want to do is put additional pressure on your team. If you lurk near the flag, stay by the flag, good things are going to happen because you have teammates that can help. They can attack from multiple angles. But if you trickle away, more than likely you're going to get hooked by somebody or basically insta-gib by 2 or 3 enemies, and then you're going to put your team down 1 or 2 players because usually somebody's dumb enough to go follow basically, and they're going to get worked over as well. So here you go. We put it in. It's on overtime. As long as they don't touch that, and they just did, it just refreshed overtime. Now, if they get killed on the point or get off the point, the overtime goes down extremely quickly. Now, if somebody touches it at that split second, it forces overtime timer into that high number again, but quickly works down. That's when you can't fight 2 or 3 feet off the flag. You have to fight on the flag. That's where inches and millimeters matter. So here's the next round. This is not going to start off well. I actually changed my composition because Pharah isn't the best on this map. And just know when you play that outside lane, that's a good spot to lure people if you're a Lucio, if you're a Pharaoh, if you're even a Genji with the Reflect, because you can knock people off the map. If a Lucio comes up to you, pop your Reflect, knock him off the map if you're positioned properly. Not to mention Pharah with her knockback and a couple of the other classes that fare well out there. It's also a great angle to work. Put pressure on them. Create multiple angles of distress for them. Because if all of your teammates are in one spot, everybody on the enemy team just has to look one way. Try to get off a flank, especially if you're one of the more stealthy classes like a Genji. So here's a situation where we're slowly making a push, and you can see in the kill feed that we really didn't make a pick. One of the biggest things I need to do is keep my heal down. And there we have a Zenyatta along with a Piggy in the basement using his Uber. So we're not looking good here at all. So here I am working from the inside angle, and I just got froze. Worst thing that can happen. Look at this. It's almost 99-0. We're absolutely getting drummed. But that doesn't mean we're going to lose the map. And here's where the fun starts. Here's where you start trickling in. It's overtime. See, somebody touched it. Somebody's still on it. It's slow burning. As long as somebody's still on it, that is slow burning, and it'll actually freeze. Now, if somebody touches it again, when somebody's off, it's going to refresh. Now, did you play World of Warcraft? Pillar, 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 and pillar some more. If you're the last guy alive, just try to run around with your head cut off like a chicken and just simply survive. And look, we're still in overtime. This seriously goes on for almost 3 minutes. They can't win the round. They can't punch the ticket until everybody's eliminated and that timer cools down. But if you notice, we're starting to gain just a little bit of ground. It's nice to make slow pushes where you pick 2 or 3 and then put your 4 or 5 guys that are still alive and put them on the flag. But when it's this, when overtime is ticking down, you just have to go. You're gonna die. You're probably gonna get gibbed, but you're gonna restart that timer. So here you see we've got 3 on the flag, and again, it doesn't matter. We can't cap this. As you see, the cap progression's like 10% of the way, if that, until we kill them all. Find their healer, kill their healer. Always understand it. Here's something you can do with McCree that I do all the time. You could re-peek him. If he high noons it, find out where he's at, because it takes a couple seconds to lock on. Disappear on your peak, re-peek him while he's even in that high noon. He can't DPS you. He can't fan the hammer. He can't stun you. So you can do 2 or 3 micro peeks if there's no one else around, and you can actually destroy McCree when he's in his high noon. And more than likely, that messes him up. He's not going to cancel out. He's going to freeze a little bit. He's down, and now his Q's down. The only question is, did he waste the whole thing, or does he still have 50% because it didn't go off? So now you see they went super happy with their composition. And I'm debuffed. Remember, when you're debuffed by Zenyatta, stay out of line of sight for 3 or 4 seconds and it disappears. Nothing I can do right now. I do have my Q up, and it's time to destroy everything and anything I can, especially Winston. Don't be afraid to go in his shield. I backed off because I had no health, but obviously you can see I've got a trickle heal. We've got a Lucio. Keep him alive. There you see his ult pop. My health goes up to 600. Here's the counter ult, which is basically the worst thing can happen, and it's still 99-0. So Winston, when he pops his ult, he can have 10 hit points. As soon as he does that, he has massive hit points. It's a heal plus a hit point buff. And just like that, we finally swung the tide. We're on the cap. We actually have it ticking in our direction. Finally, after 3 minutes, which is crazy. There you see Zarya throwing out bubbles. She needs to take damage. If you have the shield, make sure you take damage, because she is a nightmare in close quarters. If she drops her gravity well, when they're making a big push down a very confined area, it's going to suck everybody in. Their only saving grace is if they have a Winston that already threw a shield down, or a Reinhardt that's got his shield up. If not, they are simply going to get melted. And pillar, pillar, pillar. Can't say it enough. If there is an angry Winston, or you're taking mad damage, use every bit of cover that you can and just basically kite it. You're going to have teammates help you out, especially the further back you go. And remember, I talked about earlier, don't push too far forward. This is the moment where we could have a couple guys push way too far forward and they could get killed. Then it's going to be a 4-on-3, or maybe it's going to be a 6-on-4, and then we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Why put your team under additional pressure and stress? Simply don't allow them to pick and push. Get a couple kills, push your way to the flag with the big time advantage. And don't be afraid to change your composition mid-match. Do you need a tank? Do you need a ranged DPS? Don't be that guy that's the MLG Genji or sniper just getting hard countered and spending most of your time in the spawn screen. That's not helping your team. Figure out what your team needs to be a hard counter. Healers are always welcome. Ranged DPS is always welcome. A crowd controller like Mei is always welcome, especially when it's a map like this, when the capture point is very small. And just like that, we start to overextend. We're kind of talking about it in the comms, and that's actually a good Mei. She just separated Reinhardt from the group, and we were able to get behind his shield and basically nuke him down. And basically shit is just hitting the fan right now. Their Lucio ulted, he got froze, he got gived, and their Genji's not on the flag. This is where they need to put a single player on a flag. If he would have stayed on that flag, more than likely their Zenyatta would have gotten to it, and it would have extended it again. If you guys enjoyed this absolutely crazy round of Overwatch or want some more tips and tricks, don't forget to drop a like on the video and let me know what you guys want some tips and tricks on. Do you want some more gameplay mechanics? Do you want me to go over some of the compositions or what to do with specific heroes and situations? There's so much ground to cover in Overwatch. It's about time I get to it as Reinhardt gets pieced out as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you guys soon.